Hello, I'm going to talk today about the audiobooks that I listened to in May and how those audiobooks have changed the books that I'm going to read for the next few months. So one of the reasons I've decided to make this YouTube channel about reading books is because at the end of 2021, just at random, I was suggested a video of the top books that I read in 2021, which of course once I watched it, it sent me to another video and another video and another video. And for the last 2 weeks of 2021, all I did was watch YouTube videos about people's favorite books of the year. It inspired me to want to make the video because I was thinking, well, if I'm making videos about it, then I'm going to be held accountable to read more books. And so I started doing this. In those videos, there was one book in particular over and over and over and over again, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I have not read this book yet, but years ago, it had to have been years ago, a couple years ago, I bought the Audible book How to Stop Time, also by Matt Haig. So what this book is about is a man who ages slower than the rest of us. So for our 15 years, he ages 1 year. And this is something that develops at puberty. And so the book is about his life, a certain portion of his life, and where he is trying to find out what's important to him. There's themes around family, around love. So this book is okay. It's not bad. It's written very well. I just don't think that it went deep into a lot of things. But when I realized it was written by Matt Haig, which is also the person who wrote The Midnight Library, which is a book I heard so much about, I realized that I want to try this out. So I'm really curious if I'm going to love this book as much as other people have. So next month, this is on my list. I'm reading this. The next book that I listened to is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is another one that at the end of the year I heard a lot about, and everyone was saying to listen to it on audiobook. And so I did. I listened to it on audiobook. This one totally lived up to the hype. It was incredible. Listening to this book felt like I was listening to a documentary, a behind the music from MTV. So it is an interview with a rock band from the 70s, Daisy Jones and the Six, how they became the rock band, what happened to them, the relationships between them. The thing I found so amazing about this book is when I was listening to it, I forgot that I was listening to a book, and instead I felt like I was listening to interviews. Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is the person who wrote this book, is so good at creating different characters. Each one clearly has its own voice, has its own perspective, and the people doing the reading in the audiobook are superb. It's just incredible. You forget that you're listening to people reading a book, and you think that you're listening to an interview from band people. It's incredible. I cannot recommend it more. And the way that this audiobook changed how I'm going to read in the future is, number one, I bought a whole bunch of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. So Daisy Jones and the Sixth is something that I heard about last year. A book that continued in every single video to get incredible praise was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Everybody on YouTube loves this book. So I bought this book. I bought Malibu Rising. And on Audible, I forget which one it is. It's another Taylor Jenkins Reid book. So I think I'm going to do, maybe not next month, but the month after that, I'm going to do all Taylor Jenkins Reid books because I adored Daisy Jones and the Six, and I can't wait to read the rest of the books. So when I was watching all the videos at the end of 2021, I was a little bit jealous of everyone reading all these books because I felt like with every channel I watched, yes, there was some crossover with some books that people really liked, but there was definitely preferences in what people liked. So they liked specific genres, or they might have had a favorite author that they really loved. And I didn't have that. I didn't have a favorite genre. I still don't know that I do, but I wanted a favorite genre. I wanted a favorite author. And so I felt a little bit jealous when I was watching these videos and people had very specific things that they liked in what they read. And so the second reason that I started this was to find that. And I think this month I'm at the beginnings of having found that. And that was in the book Little. Little is written by Edward Carey, and it is about Madame Tussaud and her wax museum. Honestly, it's the Madame Tussaud is the very end of the book, the last chapter. The rest of the book, which is 14 hours and 14 minutes to listen to, is all about her life leading up to becoming Madame Tussaud. And it's from birth to death. And it sounds like a lot, but it is packed full of incredible story. I find that in some books or some stories, a character is written quirky. In particular, a girl. And it's like, oh, I wear pigtails and I put Skittles in my sandwich. And that's what quirky is. And I've never related to that idea of quirky. However, a little girl who casts heads in plaster and then creates lifelike heads from that mold out of wax is a quirky I can get behind. That's what Little is. She's been doing that since she was 6. Her head was the very first head ever cast and created out of wax, which is so interesting and cool to me. In listening to Little, I went a little crazy in buying books. In particular, in buying Edward Carey books. I'm still not sure what genre this would be. If it's quirky, if it's strange, I don't know. So the first books that I bought, it's a trilogy. And the first book is called Heap House. The second book is Folsom. And the third book is London. Claude Earmonger is not supposed to, but he hears a brass door handle saying, Alice Higgins, and his birth object, a universal bath plug, constantly calls out, James Henward Hayward. The rest of the Earmonger family would rather the objects collected from the rubbish heaps of London stay quiet. But something is happening. The objects, piled up inside and around Heap House over generations, are not staying in their place. With the arrival of Lucy Pennant, everything shifts, and Claude will have to decide where he belongs. And I'm assuming this is Claude and this is Lucy. And you can see throughout the books, Claude and Lucy change. This seems legitimately quirky. Like, this seems like my definition of quirky. The next book I got by him is Alva and Irva, the twins who saved a city. Right at the top of this one, it says, quirky, strange, more than a little Kafka. Airy, elevated, and captivating. Alva and Irva are identical twin sisters, and Entral is their home. By nature, Alva is an explorer and longs to travel the world. Irva is a recluse, for whom every step outside the house is an ordeal. But the twins belong together and cannot survive without each other. It is when Irva refuses to leave the house at all that the major work of their lives begin. Alva wanders the city streets, observing, taking notes, measuring, and reporting her findings to Irva, who painstakingly creates a miniature Australia. The twins are mesmerizing heroines whose conflicting desires contain the seed of both their destruction and their salvation. The next book that I got by Edward Carey, which you can tell I've gone a little crazy, is Observatory Mansions. Once the Orme family's magnificent ancestral estate, Observatory Mansion is now a crumbling apartment complex, home to an eccentric group of misfits. One of them is Francis Orme, who earns his livelihood as a living statue. When not practicing inner and outer stillness, Francis steals the cherished possessions of others to add to his private museum. The other tenants are equally odd. His mother and father haven't interacted in years. A man who continually sweats and cries, a recluse who prefers television to reality, and a woman who behaves like a dog. When Anna Tapp arrives among them, she stirs their souls, arousing fears that this new tenant intends to provoke a metamorphosis. And of course, the one who started it all, Little. What I found so fun, I bought this book after I read Little, and inside it, there's pictures of the wax drawings, of the wax figures that they did. It's so fun. So now I want to read it again, but read the physical book so I can look at all of these different pictures that they have. So these books sound so wonderful to me. I enjoy a quirky, funny, interesting story. I don't know that these are going to be my favorite. I know that I really liked Little, and I know that I love the blurb on each of these books, so we'll see. But I'm going to do a whole series where I read these Edward Carey books and see if indeed this is my new favorite author maybe, or my new favorite genre. I am not 100% sure that this is a genre. Is quirky, weird, interesting, semi-science fiction, is that a genre? I don't know. If you're watching this, which I don't have many followers, so you're probably not, but if you are, and you have a recommendation of a book that is strange and interesting and tells a story in a really weird way, please give me recommendations. Help me find my favorite author. Help me find this genre of books. That's all. It's a small video. I only listened to 3 books. I listened to How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I listened to Little by Edward Carey. All of which were very good books. In particular this one, my new favorite. Thank you for watching. Please, please, please leave recommendations for me and read books.